Hello all, my name is Reggie and welcome to my channel. Today I will be doing a very exciting video. Today I'm going to be wrapping up all the movies and TV shows I watched from January to June, so the first half of the year. If you haven't already, you should subscribe. You should do that by clicking that little red button that's done right here. So because I don't know when I watched these, like order-wise, I'm actually going to be ranking them in order from my least favorite to my favorite. So we're going to start off with TV shows. I watched 10 TV shows from January to June, so let's just start off with my least favorite. My least favorite I still enjoyed quite a bit, and that was Daredevil Season 2. Follows the superhero Daredevil as he tries to save Hell's Kitchen. I really loved Daredevil Season 1, I just don't think the narrative really brought over in Season 2 as well. I didn't like some of the character story plots. I think it was bogged down by some things, and I think the pacing was really off, but overall there's a lot of really great redeeming qualities to it. The main actor is great, and I still really love the kind of atmosphere that we have here, so I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. Next up, I watched Modern Family Season 8. Really enjoy the show, but I definitely don't think this was their best season, and I ended up giving this 4 stars. Next up, I have The Flash Season 3. This is my favorite superhero TV show currently airing. I love The Flash, however this was my least favorite season of The Flash. I don't really like Iris and Barry as a couple. I don't buy their chemistry, to be honest, so there was such a heavy emphasis on that in the season that I wasn't a fan. Don't really like how it was resolved. The reveal was super obvious. It was a little slow because we were beating the same story over and over and over again. I was really interested in the beginning. I really liked that the previous story plot had ramifications, but I feel like these ramifications are going far too long and too far, and I'm just not into it anymore. But I still really love the show. I was super disappointed with the Music Man episode though, because they had Darren Criss and they didn't do enough with him. They had Darren Criss, guys. Ugh. Anyways, not my favorite season. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. Next up is something I really enjoyed, and that was The Crown Season 1 from Netflix. This follows the Queen of England right as she is coronated, because she got the throne really young. Story of how she kind of had to deal with things, and it was really enjoyable show, and I'm really excited for Season 2, but I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. Next up we have 13 Reasons Why. This is an adaptation of the book by the same name by Jay Asher. I did a series review of this, so if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. I gave this 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I loved how it was adapted. I think it was very well done. I really liked the expansion of the story. I totally get the criticisms for the show, and I totally agree that they shouldn't have done a lot of what they did the way they did it. The portrayal of certain scenes was overly done. One early scene where they depicted something and had literally no trigger warnings. I was really upset about that, but I did still really love the show. Next up, we have a 4.5 to The Amazing Race Season 29. I've only actually just gotten into The Amazing Race. I watched the social media season with like Tyler Oakley and Corey Cole was on it, and Bernie and Ashley also from Rooster Teeth were on this, and I really loved that season. So I was like, yeah, I really like this show. I don't know why I wouldn't watch it before. I'm gonna keep watching it. This season was different because they paired up people with like people they didn't know, so it wasn't like you went on the show with a person, you went on by yourself and then were paired up randomly, and I really enjoyed that format. It was really fun. I really was not happy with the couple that won though. Never end though, am I? Anyways, I really enjoyed my time watching this though. This is one of my favorite shows on TV, and I gave this a 4.5 stars. Next up are all shows I gave 5 out of 5 stars. However, they are ranked still by my favorites. So the first of those 5-star TV shows is The Handmaid's Tale. And this is an adaptation of course, the beloved classic dystopian tale by Margaret Atwood. I read this book because I wanted to watch the TV show, and it was so well done. The casting for the show was like mind-blowingly awesome. The acting was incredible. I think it was well done. This is one of the best adaptations I've ever seen. All the things I disliked about the book were fixed in the TV show. All the things that I don't think worked in the book worked in a visual medium, and then it also expanded on things in a very wonderful, intriguing way. Really happy with how this turned out. I've talked about a lot of TV shows that were adaptations. This is by far though the best TV show adaptation I've ever seen, and that is A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. This is a Netflix TV show based on, of course, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. This follows, I think, the first 4 books. So good. I watched this with Manny as well, and he hasn't read the books, but he absolutely loved the TV show. I think they really captured the tone, the humor. I really love this adaptation. I really hope we get all 13 books played out. I think this was just so incredibly good, and I loved it so much. Next up on this list is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I finally watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I watched season 1 and season 2. So good. I love the show. This is by Rachel Bloom, a girl who is a big shot lawyer working in New York City, and she runs into her ex-boyfriend on the streets of New York City, and he's super happy. He's talking about how he's moving back to his hometown because he's not happy in New York City, and she decides she's gonna follow him to his random small town in Southern California. Hijinks ensue. It's a musical TV show. The singing and dancing numbers are so great. Rachel Bloom is so talented. I cannot express to you how much I love this show, and I cannot wait for season 3 this fall. The last show I'm going to talk about today is one of my favorites currently airing on TV, and that is The 100. I rewatched seasons 1 and 2, and then for the first time I watched seasons 3 and 4, and this was amazing. Manny was gone in the UK for a month, so I watched all 4 seasons while he was gone, and I had so much fun binging this show. It was incredible. I really liked rewatching it. I loved season 3, and season 4 had the craziest cliffhanger. I can't wait for season 5. I'm gonna have to wait so long for season 5, but it's so good. Highly recommend The 100. This is also an adaptation. I read the book. The book's not great. The TV show is like phenomenal though. The first few episodes are a little rough, but they get the kinks worked out pretty quickly, and it's just so good. This follows basically a group of humans basically living in space because the Earth has been contaminated by nuclear war. The spaceship that they're living on is currently kind of deteriorating. So they send 100 children who are criminals down to the planet to see if it is inhabitable, and we follow those children as they try to survive, and it's just so good. I can't express to you how good this show is. It's my favorite. I have a crap ton of movies I watched, so let's get into these. These are also ranked from my least favorite to my favorite. My least favorite, the movie I saw, I gave a 1.5 stars to, and that was A Girl on a Train. This is a book adaptation. I liked the book. I gave the book like 4 stars. The movie just did not do it for me. I was so bored. I just could not. Next up, I watched a documentary called The Brawny Tale. This is basically about a bunch of people who are in the male fandom of My Little Pony TV show. It's very interesting, but not all that great to be honest, and I gave it a 2.5. Next up, I have to talk about Lion. This I had such high hopes for. I really wanted to love it, and it really disappointed me. I think the storytelling kind of got off track. It was such a good story on its own. It didn't need to be bogged down with all of these gimmicky kind of things. Basically, the story is about a kid who was separated from his family. He jumps on a train trying to find his brother. The train departs, and he doesn't know in what direction. He's living on the streets. He gets adopted. He's like separated from his family his whole life. He ends up going to school, like college, I think, and he discovers Google Earth, devotes his life and years of his life to trying to figure out where his family was and see if he can get reunited. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The romance was just cheesy. His relationship with his brother was poorly executed. Like, ugh. It's just a lot of cringing going on. Next up, I have The Circle. This is, again, an adaptation. Do we see a theme here? I read The Circle by Dave Eggers. I loved it. I enjoyed the movie more than I thought I would because this is getting pretty trash reviews. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars because I enjoyed my time watching it. I enjoyed Emma's portrayal of the main character. The book is almost over the top and sarcastic with a lot of the things, whereas the movie was like treating these very seriously, and that does not give you the same experience. Next up, I watched The Secret Life of Pets. This was super cute, but not that memorable, honestly. I know it's a cartoon about pets. They went on an adventure. I don't really know what happened. 3 out of 5 stars. Next up, I have Sing. This was about a basically Voice style singing competition with animals. The stories of some of the animals were super engaging. Again, not like the greatest kids movie I've ever seen, but quite enjoyable. I gave this one 3.5 stars. Next up, I have another documentary I watched on Netflix. This is called The Atlas. This was very interesting and talked about coming out stories from a lot of different prominent and not as prominent people in LGBTQIA plus community, and it was so good, but it did lack some specific representation. It was upsetting. I gave this a 3.5 stars. Next up, I have a 3.5 stars to Moonlight, which won the Academy Awards. I'm really glad that it won. It needed to win. However, for what it was, I was disappointed. I can see why it won because this was a super subtle movie, not explicit at all, barely tackled the subject in terms of like everything was like not really talked about. If you don't know, this is a movie about a kid who's gay and black and kind of just dealing with that, but it never talks about that like so explicitly, and that really upset me. A huge part of me feels like it only won because it was so subtle. Hollywood, appreciate you making strides. We can do better still. Next up, I have a 3.5 stars to Wonder Woman. Yeah, I just was kind of disappointed with Wonder Woman, mainly because I just hate DC movies, honestly. Like, two of my least favorite movies I've ever seen are Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, so that kind of tells you something. I went to watch it on like a Tuesday after it came out. I was just super disappointed because all weekend I had heard so many incredible things and it just didn't live up to that level of awesomeness that I was expecting and that I had been led to believe it would be. I still think it's super great, super important. I'm so glad we have something like this, and I'm so happy that a female-dominated movie is doing so great in box offices, and I hope that sends a very strong and powerful message to Hollywood. Next up, I have the Power Rangers movie, and this is also 3.5 stars. I'm just like, I didn't expect to like this movie at all. I loved it so much. I didn't watch the Power Rangers as a kid, so I can't say that I like have this nostalgic like experience with it. Manny loved it. I went with him and my dear friend Randa, who you've probably seen in some videos, and they both grew up watching Power Rangers and both loved it. I loved it and didn't grow up watching Power Rangers, so I think that's a huge testament to what the movie produced. It wasn't perfect, of course it wasn't, but I was expecting it to flop. Next up, I have 4 stars to King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Again, a movie I did not expect to like. I thought this wasn't going to be great, but this was so good. Maybe because I wasn't expecting a lot from it, but this was just really entertaining and like in a sarcastic way. King Arthur was just so freaking sarcastic and so sassy and like didn't take anything seriously, and it was just so much fun. Next up, I have Gifted, which is about a young girl who is very gifted. She is being raised by her uncle and her grandma basically go in a custody battle for her, and it's a very good, very like cheesy, predictable, almost Lifetime movie-esque, but I loved it so much. It was everything I was looking for at the time I watched it, so I gave it 4 stars. Then I watched The Edge of Everything. This was so cute. This is a coming-of-age high school story. It's funny, profound, not perfect, but really, really fun. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, we have a 4 out of 5 stars for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This was great. Not as great as Volume 1. Baby Groot was great. He was wonderful. The story was really fun, but I didn't like a lot of things, specifically the portrayal of the alien creature we encounter on the planet Ego. I felt like she was just like horribly portrayed and horribly offensive, and I was just super disappointed with that. Next up, we have a 4 out of 5 stars for Beauty and the Beast, the live action edition. This is so freaking good. I love this so much. Beauty and the Beast was one of my favorite animated movies growing up. Not my favorite. I like The Lion King and Aladdin and Fox and the Hound more, but this was definitely like within the top 5. So I was super excited to see this go to the big screen, and I was super excited for Emma Watson to play Belle because she's just like a wonderful casting in my opinion, and I think it was well done. It wasn't perfect, but it was still so enjoyable. I will watch this movie over and over and over again. Next up, I have a 4-star rating for Southside with You. This is basically the story of Michelle and Barack Obama's first date and like getting together and meeting and stuff like that. It's super cute. I love this so much. It was so good. I'm so glad I watched it because it was not even on my radar. And my friend came in from out of town. She wanted to watch this, so we did, and so good. Super cute. Very well done. I loved it. Next up, I have some adaptations that earned a 4.5 because they were great. First up is Nerve. I have not read the Nerve book, but the movie was so good. Basically, there is this game where you are either a watcher or a player, and basically you decide if you're going to do a dare from the watchers, if you're a player, death-defying stunts, and it's just like thrill ride to the end, and I was just enamored. And the other 4.5 adaptation was Before I Fall. This was so good. If you don't know, Before I Fall is one of my favorite books. It's by Lauren Oliver, and I think the adaptation was really good. This is about a girl who basically is stuck in a Groundhog Day loop. She died, and every day she has to live her last day over and over and over again, and I think it was so well executed, so well done. I really appreciated the adaptation, and I really want to buy this and watch this over and over and over again because it was so good. I have 3 more movies to talk about, but these 3 were all 5 out of 5 stars. I love them so much. The first one I want to talk about today is Baby Driver. This came out recently. I saw it right when it came out. It was so good. This is basically about a getaway driver, which I never thought I would watch something like this or enjoy something like this. Manny just kind of snuck that it was about like bank robberies and before I knew what it was about. You don't know, I used to work at a bank, and so I'm pretty sensitive to like bank robbery stories. This was so good. I loved it. Stylistically so cool. The music was incredible. It was just so fun. I loved it so much. Next up we have A Monster Calls. This is based on a book by Patrick Ness. I love the book. The movie was so good. In fact, one of the best adaptations ever. I just think the story was so powerful visually. It was just so well done. It was one of the first movies I saw this year, and it's still one of my favorites. It really stuck with me. Big fan. So happy this was adapted, and adapted well. And my favorite movie I've seen this year is Get Out. I can't even express to you how good it is. It's a horror and a thriller, but it deals heavily with social and racial tensions in America, and it's just so layered and nuanced and smart. I just did not expect that much from it, because when I first saw the trailers for this, I thought, wow, this is like really racist Hollywood, what are you doing? And then we found out that it was getting great reviews, and I was like, really? Manny and I went to watch it like on the Thursday it came out. Like as soon as we heard it was actually like not what we thought it was. And I'm so glad I watched it in a theater full of people, because you know the shock value, like the fun of watching a horror movie with other people in the audience is great. I have a full blown out written review on my Letterboxd for this. So if you don't know, Letterboxd is like a social media app for like movie reviews, basically like a Goodreads for movies. I have one, I'll link it down below, but I also have a like full drawn out review for Get Out, and you should check it out because I'm much more eloquent there than I am right now. So that is all for my TV and movie wrap-ups for the first half of the year. I hope you enjoyed this video. You should subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it, all that good stuff. I'll see ya later.
Baby, I beg you, yeah.